Devo pensare. Ok, no, perché
no, sì, veramente. Chiediamo il caffè. Io guarda. Ok, Manuela, I think we can start. Thank you very much. Chiudiamo il caffè. Good evening to all of you. It's a pleasure to welcome you here for this tasting seminar of Bisol Prosecco Superiore. It is a great pleasure to be here in London and a pleasure to have with us Gambero Rosso and especially Marco Sabellico, who is an amazing expert, probably in Italy one of the most experienced experts of sparkling wine in general, obviously of wine in general, but I think he's rather recognized as an opinion leader in the world of sparkling wine in Italy, and so it is a great pleasure to have him here. He will guide us in this tasting. And I would like also to thank Gambero Rosso for organizing together with us not only this tasting, but also the party that we will have afterwards. Because at the end, Prosecco Superiore and sparkling is also about enjoying life, is a symbol of Italian style, and so we will have an Italian style party and night downstairs. So some of you perhaps know me, I think because of Ferrari Trento, but tonight I will not speak about Ferrari Trento at all. I'm here because I'm also the CEO of Gruppo Lunelli, and Gruppo Lunelli is the group that obviously Ferrari Trento is part of, because my grandfather acquired Ferrari Trento in 1952, so 70 years ago. But then, after around Ferrari, my family built slowly a group that wants to represent the excellence of Italian drinking. So after Ferrari, we started also to produce some still wines in Trentino with the brand Matteo Lunelli. We acquired a mineral water in 1988, which is called Surgiva. We acquired a distillery in Italy called Segnana in 1982. Actually, it's a very old distillery. Imagine that it was founded in 1860. Then we created an estate in Tuscany and in Umbria for still wines. In Tuscany, it's mainly we create Sangiovese, which is the grape variety most representative for Tuscany, and in Umbria, we make Sagrantino. But then, in 2014, we acquired the Bisol winery. And Bisol, for us, is the perfect complement to our group. We are also proud that the Bisol family, with Gianluca is here with us, is still a part of the company. Gianluca is the president of Bisol. He's an amazing brand ambassador, and together we continue to work in order to make Bisol more and more the benchmark and the true expression of Prosecco Superiore all around the world. Gianluca has been an ambassador not only of Bisol but of Prosecco worldwide, and especially in the UK. I think he will be able to tell you much more about it. That together with our partners of Bibendum, and which is now not only a partner for Bisol for us, but also it's a partner of Gruppo Lunelli also for Ferrari Trento. So I wanted to emphasize the concept of Gruppo Lunelli because we are proud to represent with Ferrari Trento and Bisol Prosecco Superiore two different territories and two different excellence in Italian sparkling wine. So with Ferrari Trento, we want to represent the mountain viticulture of Trentino with a brand that is a leading brand in Metodo Classico sparkling wine, and obviously Trentino is a mountain region. With Bisol Prosecco Superiore, we want to represent the unique terroir of Valdobbiadene with its steep hills. And these two wines are completely different, and this helps us because we want to tell, worldwide the diversity, and want to describe and represent the diversity of Italian sparkling. But we now go to, and we will talk about Prosecco Superiore, which is the protagonist, and about Bisol, which is, as I said, is an expression of this wonderful territory. We are based originally in Santo Stefano, in Val d'Ogliatone, and this is the original area of Prosecco. If there is one big challenge that we have for the future, I think is together also with Gambero Rosso, with Opinion Leader, with all of you, is really to make sure that more and more the region of Prosecco Superiore and the POCG is recognized as the benchmark of the original style of Prosecco. And today I hope you will have a great expression of what Prosecco Superiore is, because with Bisol we want to describe all the shades of Prosecco Superiore. But anyway, thank you very much, and I will pass the word to Gianluca.
I'm very happy to be here this evening because for me, UK is a part of the story of Prosecco. I remember when 35 years ago I started to work in the winery, and my father told me that Prosecco was a wine that it was possible to sell only near the winery in Italy, not abroad, because too delicate. But after changing the way of working in the vineyard and changing machine in the winery, for example, steel tank and special machine for the bottling that avoid the oxygen to come inside the wine, Prosecco Superiore in particular become adapted for the export. And when I asked my father 35 years ago to try to sell the Prosecco abroad, he told me, you are crazy, it's not possible, because Prosecco is too delicate. When Prosecco arriving abroad will be oxidate, will be not good. But after this improving in the vineyard and in the winery, I tried to export Prosecco. And first of all, I went here in London. It was in 1989. And when I tapped the door of the importer that I was looking for, trying to have a contract in importation, everyone told me, no, thank you. Here, the people drink, in terms of bubble, drink only champagne. And I was not worried, but I say, in my mind, I said, this is not possible. If the people love champagne, for sure they have an attitude for the bubbles, and sometimes they want also to try something different. So I understood that there was not good to go to the importer directly before the people know the category. So I went directly to the best Italian restaurant in London, and I convinced three of the best Italian restaurants in London to give my Prosecco Superiore like a welcome glass in this restaurant. This restaurant was Carluccio, was Cecconi's, and also the Italian bar of the Dorchester. So I start with the best part of London. And you know that when you start with the best, it's easy that to become a new trend. And so after a few months, these three restaurants called me and say, we need a lot of Prosecco Superiore in London. The people love your wine. Wow, I said. I go to my father and say, you can see how it's happening, something that wasn't unexpected. So I went again, and at the end we found also the importer. At the end we have the choice to select which importer to import our Prosecco Superiore. So at the end we started with the collaboration with Vivendum, and with Vivendum was an incredible story of success. We arrived in all the best restaurants of UK, and Prosecco becomes some of the really case history of success in the wine in UK. And at the end, the last but not the least success was when I convinced the buyer of Harrods to create a column of Prosecco Superiore. When I met him 10 years ago, he was explaining me the new project in the wine shop. He was renovating everything, and he told me, we will do also a room of bubble, but we will do a room of 5 columns for the 5 best winery of Champagne. And I told him, why only Champagne? Now, you know that now in UK people love Prosecco, so I think that it's good to have a column for a Prosecco. Prosecco is something very important in the market. So at the end, he called me after 3 weeks and said, I'm thinking about what to tell me. I decided to create also a column of Bisol. So 4 champagne houses and 1 for Bisol. This was an incredible success, and everybody in Italy said, wow, we are very proud that Prosecco Superiore became one of the column of the wine shop of Harvard. So UK market for us is very important and become the most important market abroad. Now we started with UK after we become a success. We have success also in other countries because I was convinced that London is like a place that creates a new trend in the world, and this happened. So now we sell very good in the best restaurant in US, in China, and in many other countries, 70 countries around the world. But we remain a high quality winery for the Prosecco Superiore because we are one of the few wineries in the terroir of Prosecco Superiore that own the vineyard. You know that 85 and 95% of the winery don't own a vineyard in the Prosecco because the owner of the vineyard is very small piece of pulverized, so it's not easy to have for a winery his own vineyard. But we own the vineyard because we are wine growers first of all. We own 21 plots in different hills, nothing in the flat area, and we own in total 55 hectares of vineyard. So this is important for us because thanks to this vineyard in this very steep part of the Prosecco terroir, we can obtain the best grade for the quality. And this is what we do. And thanks to this philosophy of wine growers, we are the only one winery that have a collection of 5 different Prosecco Superiore from 5 different soil. And this is another important thing. And also, we are proud to have the vineyard of Cartizze in the top of the hill. You know that Cartizze is the most rare version of Prosecco Superiore. Only 1 bottle of Cartizze every 752 bottles of Prosecco. So a very rare wine that is they confirm that the terroir give a special character to the wine. The hill of Cartizze is the highest, the steepest, and when you see this kind of soil, you can imagine the quality. So this evening, we have the opportunity to taste some of our collection. In particular, we will start with the Rosé, that is the new one in the story of Prosecco. At the moment, Rosé is not the Prosecco Superiore, but we are very lucky because we have in our Prosecco Rosé the Pinot Noir, 15% of Pinot Noir, that is what we can do in the rules of Prosecco, that is made in the hills, in the historical path, thanks to another great man in UK, because it's thanks to Tom Stevenson that suggested me in 2008 to plant Pinot Noir in this park. It was very strange to plant Pinot Noir, but I trusted in Tom Stevenson, and I planted in 2009 this Pinot Noir that now is inside the plant of Rosé. So we can start with this. And thank you for coming. Very much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salute.
Salute.
Yeah, we can see. By the way, can you hear us from behind? Yes? Okay.
So it's my turn now.
It's your turn.
Okay, I'll be short. We will talk about wine. Thanks for the invitation, of course, and being responsible for the wine guide of Gambero Rosso. Very happy this year we published the 36th edition of the guide, and I'm there from the beginning, from 1990. There were a lot of prejudices about Prosecco when I started my career of wine writer. We used to drink a lot of Prosecco, but we were not very keen to write about Prosecco because it seemed to refer to a B style of a sparkler. Then, little by little, the presence of the best Prosecco grew within the guide, and now it plays an important role not only in the region of Veneto, but in the entire sparkling wine scene in Italy, and I'm happy to see that this is happening around the world. So at the moment, the Prosecco world, which is divided into two denominations, two appellations, which is Prosecco Superiore, which is Conegliano Valdobbiadene, and DOC Prosecco. This terroir is the most important terroir for sparkling wines around the world. We have a variety which is unique to this terroir, is very characterizing, and which is Glera. And we have a tradition that goes back for centuries of people cultivating this variety and turning it into a feed seed, then into a sparkling wine. Bisol is proud to say we go back to 1542, so it's a very old family, like not so old, but many other families in the Prosecco area have ancient roots. The great thing about Prosecco, it's a wine which is a fantastic wine at any time of the day, and especially at 5:41. And everybody loves it. It's rich, it's elegant, goes well with food, it's a fantastic aperitivo. So really, what can you say? It's a winner anyway. These producers, thanks to the fact of having one of the most important wine universities in Europe, which is the school of the Enological School of Conegliano, generation and generation of enologists have studied the terroir, the Prosecco, the transformation methods, and have improved year after year. So now we don't have to make comparison with the classic, with the bottle fermented sparklers, but when we are in front of a variety like Glera, which is lightly aromatic, so fresh, fruity, and floral, we have to admit that the Italian method of transforming a wine into a sparkler, which is called Martinotti, tank fermentation, or Italian method, call it as you like it, is the best way to preserve these delicate aromas that come from a unique variety and a landscape of dramatic beauty, which, by the way, is part of the World Heritage Places by UNESCO. So I can talk for hours. We will discuss each single bottle, but I think Prosecco Rosé, the one that is becoming lightly warm in our class while we talk, is the proof of a never-ending process of renovation. Some were quite critics about the fact of introducing a new style of Prosecco. Many of us had doubts on the success, but when it was released, it was sold overnight, let's say. Let's see why. Let's see why. Lightly fruity, elegant, delicate. It's a real Prosecco with a different hint, and it's so palatable, so creamy. We can drink it now as an aperitivo. We will pair it with food later on. It's a must-win And this explains the success, the immediate, amazing success it received around the world. I was surprised, and I'm asking Gianluca, I was surprised when the set of rules of these Prosecco Rosé introduced Pinot Noir as a complement to Glera. I thought they would have chosen a native variety to turn the Prosecco into Rosé. But then I have to say that this elegant touch of Pinot Noir is was the right choice. I mean, after more than 1 year from the release, everybody's asking for more, and well done, well done. But did you have doubts if introducing Pinot Noir or relying on other native variety such as Raboso, for example, which is a classic not far away from your vineyards?
But when we decided in the consortium to introduce the rosé version was something that happened naturally, because every one of us had in the wine list of the wine list that we produced, the sparkling wine that we produced, we had a rosé that was made with Glera and a little bit of Pinot Noir, but we can't before call him Prosecco, because it wasn't allowed in the denomination. So when we decided to allow this opportunity to use the color of and the flavor of the Pinot Noir in red, was a natural way to choose Pinot Noir, because Pinot Noir was from always inside the cuvée of Prosecco since the beginning. Allowed to use in white, but maximum 15%. So this was the most natural way to introduce this new version of Prosecco. And as you know, Pinot Noir is one of the best grapes for the sparkling wine. So it's also natural for this reason. But first of all, it was not good for us to introduce a new variety only for made a rosé. So this was more respecting the tradition of the terroir, the history of the vineyard that we had in our terroir. And when we decided to do this, we decided to do this very seriously. So we use only the grape that we produce in our vineyard in the historical area. This is something very rare, because the major part of the Prosecco Rosé is made with the Pinot Noir produced in the flat area of the vineyard. You know that every 7 bottles of Prosecco, there is only 1 bottle of Prosecco that comes from the historical area of Prosecco Superiore. So when you see Prosecco Superiore, it means that comes from the hills. When you see Prosecco DOC, it means that comes from the flat area of Veneto and Friuli. So the flat area is a little bit different in terms of excursion of temperature, quality of the terroir, the soil, and the exposition, stiffness of the vineyard. We do everything by hand in the Prosecco Superiore. So the bottle that we produce in the Prosecco Superiore is made by hand. Is made by 12 times the work in the vineyard that you need in the flat area. So when we decided to produce this rosé, that is inside the Prosecco DOC category, so you can also produce with the grape of the flat area, we decided to produce only from the vineyard that we planted in the heaps. And so we have a small production. The request of the market is higher than our production. This is the reason why we don't introduce Prosecco Rosé at the moment in the Italian market, but only in some of the broad market, like UK and US and China, because we have not enough quantity for the request of the market. And this is brut, very near the extra brut category, so it's 6.5 gram sugar residual. And so this is also fantastic for aperitif and also for pairing with the food. Many food you can pair with this. And as you can taste, you can recognize the characteristic of the glare grape with apple, peach, banana, and many flower, but also the red fruit of the Pinot Noir and the body of the Pinot Noir. So it remain very long time with Pinot Noir.
In the end, it's very creamy, very delicate, but it has a fresh acidic backbone. It's a very intriguing sparkler. Let me ask you another question. You are Bisol, the brand is Bisol, but you are presenting two different brands, Geo and Bisol. So how came this fact of separating two?
When we realized that it was 100 years from the born of my grandfather Geo, we decided to create a Prosecco for celebrate the story of Geo. Geo, the real name was Desiderio, but the nickname was Geo. With the J because in the family it was called Geo and for the friend was called Yeo. So when we decided to produce a Prosecco for celebrate my grandfather, we decided to do something different. You remember I told you before that we are the first winery to separate in the history of Prosecco the different kind of soil. We have a collection of 5 different soils. So this was thanks to the idea of my grandfather Jay. And when we decided to do a bottle for celebrating my grandfather, we decided to use 3 of the 5 soils, the 3 soils that he preferred. He was the man that decided to select the 5 soil, and we know that he preferred the soil of clay soil, sand soil, and morainic soil. So this was the first Prosecco that we did. And so Prosecco Rosette is a connection of the 2 grapes, celebration also of Pinot Noir, is also another celebration of the creativity of my grandfather. Okay? So now, if you look at Jail in the bottle, is always Prosecco that we produce, but it's not a single soil Prosecco Superiore, but is a cuvée of different soils.
Anyway, the public was asking for a rosé, and almost every winery in Conegliano Valdobbiadene had a not a DOCG, not a DOC rosé sparkler. Some made with Pinot Noir, some made with other varieties, but the customers wanted this creamy sensation that only a Glera-based, fresh, young, vibrant sparkler could give, so it was a logical choice to include it in the set of rules of DOC Prosecco. Well, we moved from the plain to the hills, and we enter the DOCG district Conegliano Valdobbiadene with an organic sparkler, which is Geo Organic. What can you tell us? Is there a big demand for organic wines in Italy and in the world?
There is a demand. You know, the sparkling wine is a little bit different in the market. Normally, sparkling wine is used in many more informal occasions, parties, and in which the attention of the category beer or not beer is not so important like for the still wine. But we decided to produce, thanks to the opportunity that we have to own the vineyards, and we selected some part of the hills in which it was possible to produce this category, because the Glera grape is very delicate, and so it's very difficult to have a bio system for production. But in many of our hills that are all steeper, in the top part of the hills we can do this thanks to the wind that comes from Venice. We are in the middle from Venice and Cortina del Pezzo in the Dolomites. We are 50 kilometers from Venice and 55 from Cortina del Pezzo in the Dolomites. So during the day we have the wind that comes from the sea, and during the night we have the wind that comes, very cold wind that comes from the Dolomites. And in the top of the hills we can have advantage of this wind, and we can produce the bio system. Thank you.
Very elegant, fresh, it's a real Prosecco, smoother than the Rosé. I think there is a couple of grams of sugar more than the other one. 9, but it's still in the brut style. There was a time when we thought that Prosecco should always be extra dry. That was a classic style. In reality, the big success of Prosecco came with the success of the brut style. What can you say about it?
This happened because when we start to sell abroad, we start to sell through the restaurants. And in the restaurant, the best area with the food and for the welcome drink is the brut style. This is the reason why we have so big success in the brut version abroad. But still now in Italy is successful also the extra dry, because extra dry, thanks to the higher quantity of sugar, express a lot of flavor, because you know that the sugar is like an amplifier of the original flavor. So he's still going very well in Italy. This percentage of sales in Italy is the total opposite of abroad for that group. So abroad the major part is brewed, and in Italy the major part is extra dry. So because in Italy people drink Prosecco not only in the restaurant, but a lot of Prosecco also in the wine bar, in the friends or parties.
It's an aperitivo any time of the day, it's right. Going back to the method, you know, I'm admiring the finesse of these bubbles, the perlage. If we go to the science, we have two methods, and in fact, the tank fermentation is a classic method in a very, very big bottle. There's not much difference, you know, science-wise. I mean, if you want to preserve the fresh primary aromas of an aromatic variety, I think this is the right choice. If you have varieties like Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, and you want to make a long-living, elegant, sparkler based, focused on tertiary and aromas suitable for evolution, then you leave it on the lees for a couple of years and make the classic method. What do you think?
I absolutely agree with you. I mean, obviously, we believe, for example, in Trento Doc, using Chardonnay and Pinot Noir, the great expression of the potential longevity and finesse and elegance of Pinot Noir and Chardonnay comes from bottle fermented sparkling wine, and so from Metodo Classico, as we call it in Italy. I perfectly agree with you that to preserve the fresh aromatic flavor and the pleasure of Prosecco, Méthode Charmat is the perfect method. By the way, in the Bisol winery, I still remember that when we entered the first time into the winery, we found a lot of experiment because the Bisol family had great experience also on Metodo Classico. Mm-hmm. So inside of the winery, they had a lot of bottles of Metodo Classico because they were also doing Metodo Classico, not only Pinot Noir but Chardonnay, and also Glera grapes with Metodo Classico. But it is a completely different exercise. And as I said, the style of Prosecco Superiore is perfectly created by tank fermentation, and so Méthode Charmat, or Metodo Martinotti as we call it in Italy. And it's not, again, coming to what I said before, is important to emphasize the identity of Prosecco. That doesn't want to be a copy of Trento d'Occo, Champagne, or Franciacorta. It has to be different, and it has to be, and the identity of Prosecco that you can find in this jelly organic as well, it really comes from this fruity aromatic note, easy to perceive, very light, that Metodo Martinotti gives. Then I was quite happy to see that the Gelio Rosé we are tasting is a 2020 vintage, and it's still, in good shape, which is honestly mean that if you do a double Metodo Martinotti, is also a wine that can have some aging. But obviously, it's not a wine that in my opinion, is made to age, or that you can that aging will deliver new sensation as probably in the Metodo class.
I must say, few bottles that I found every now and then in my cellar, which are left behind, I said, before I give it away, let me try. And I had many pleasant surprises after 2 or 3 years, So it's not made to be, a long-living wine, but
absolutely, but it's more, as I said, and well done.
Okay, so number 3, we switch from organic to not organic, and it's another brut. So when you say organic brut, you are referring to 100% Glera, or are you using some of the other varietals? Because I know that 85% must be Glera. So this 15%, how do you play around?
As I said before, 50% is the maximum percentage that we can use of other variety, but not any kind of variety. We can use Pinot Noir, white in this case for the Prosecco Superiore. We can use Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris. We can use Verdiso, Bianchetta, Pereira, that are local variety. So we have inside our vineyard all these 5 varieties, and we mix and use all the 15% that is allowed with these 6 varieties. Major part of the variety that we use is Pinot Blanc and Chardonnay, but we use also Verdiso, Bianchetta, and Pereira, very rare.
So the traditional native varieties.
And so this creates a very interesting complexity in the flavor and in the range of taste that you get from the fruit and the flower. So this is another brut. This 9 grams of sugar residual. It's like the previous one, the organic. But in this case, we use this was the first Prosecco Superiore J that we produced. So we use the 3 kinds of soil. Sand soil that gives a lot of fruity flavor. Clay soil that gives a lot of flower taste, and moraine soil that gives minerality. So this is a very good combination of the 3 soils, and represent a very successful version of our Prosecco Superiore.
I can't disagree, because it's a very refined expression of Prosecco Superiore. I think 9 grams, it's a very good dosage for this wine, which enhances these fruity flavors. There's this apple, green apple, which is very, very evident. It doesn't soften too much the acidic backbone that is this lemon and lime aftertaste, which makes it a bright, light, and lively wine. I love these flowery notes, which remind me of white flowers, and they are part of the world of Prosecco. So it's a nice combination of fruity and flowery notes, and this is what makes Prosecco so drinkable and delightful. And of course, like the organic we were talking before, very good with food.
Yeah. And in this you can recognize that there is also a good acidity. It is perfect for the evolution of the Prosecco. As we said before, Prosecco is not a sparkling wine that you can taste after 20, 30 years. But when you use a grape like we use that we produce in our country, and we have a very low quantity per hectare, so we obtain body and structure in our Prosecco. And with this kind of acidity, you can also taste this Prosecco after 8, 7, 8, 10 years. In May, I had a very long trip in the United States in which we organized a coast-to-coast tour of Bisol, and during these 28 days through the United States, we organized 33 events. And at the beginning of every one of these 33 events, I opened a bottle of Magnum Prosecco Superiore 2016. And the people was impressed about the evolution of the wine. So thanks to our work in the vineyard, we can also have this ambition to have a good evolution in the years. But this is very rare.
The acidic compounds, it's basic, no? It's fundamental to have this result. So freshness, acidic, and as in the sparkling wine, as a classic middle, I mean, the acidity is the key of
for freshness and drinkability. No, I think anyway, a great sparkling wine should be a wine where one glass should call another. So one sip should call the other, and so the fresh acidity is very important. By the way, now I think we already served a wine that I would like to introduce because it is for us truly a symbol of the Bisol style. Crede is really a synonym of Bisol. It is certainly has been a pioneering label that really represented the Prosecco Superiore. Prosecco Superiore created to be proposed in restaurants. And that's the reason why Crede has always been brut. And when it came out, it was really one of the very few brut Prosecco Superiore in the market. And it's the reason is, as I said, is that we see the perfect place for Crede really to be a restaurant. We serve in a restaurant, and so the dosage makes it a food-friendly wine. But most of all, I think Crede is a great expression of the Bisol style, because we are now getting into a wine that is created with grapes coming from vineyards which have a very common soil characteristics. And the idea of Bisol is really to represent and to describe and to express all the shades of the denomination of Prosecco Superiore. Really to give it even more value to this unique terroir, which is a UNESCO heritage, and it's a beautiful terroir that I wish you can visit if you haven't done it yet, because it's a beautiful area. This area is anyway characterized also by land and terroir with different characteristics. So in Crede, we emphasize and we select the vineyards which are more clay. And this, the idea is really to create then a Prosecco that has a very distinctive style that can express the uniqueness of this soil. And with other labels of Bisol, we are selecting different kind of soil as well. So it is a symbol also of the philosophy of Bisol to really represent a crew or portion of vineyards that have a very specific characteristic inside of the denomination. So I will leave it to Gianluca, but because Crede is also is a name that recalls this, the Crede, which in dialect recalls the argilla, the clay. And as I said, for us is really a landmark label that wants to express the style and the philosophy of the art.
I was tasting the wine. I was taken by the intensity of the wine. We are one step higher than the previous wines. The fruitiness is more fruity. The flower sensation are more intense. The elegance is more elegant. The bubbles are slightly, the cream is creamier. I love this wine. It's a very good one. And I thought this must be the fact that it's a single vineyard. Then I asked to Gianluca. Gianluca said, no, it's not a single vineyard. You know that in Conegliano Valdobbiadene you have this Rive system, which is a classification of the best terroirs, and like in Champagne, we have Premier Cru, Grand Cru, and so on. And this is not, because it comes from many different vineyards.
Because, as I said before, in the terroir of Prosecco there are many vine growers. There are more than 4,000 vine growers. And the property are separated into a lot of small vineyards. So my family, that is one of the biggest in terms of vineyard, we own 21 plots and a total of 55 hectares in an area in which the median property is 2 hectares. So thanks to this and thanks to the idea of my grandfather Jayo to separate the different kind of soil, thinking about the soil like the protagonist of the wine and not the village. For the crede, we decided, my grandfather decided to use the different vineyard plots that have the clay soil. But these different vineyard, different plots are, every one of these inside in the Rive category. So this is like a marriage of the Rive category.
Multi-Rive.
Multi-Rive, yes. Multi-Rive.
Fantastic.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. And we are one step beyond.
And this is perfect for the raw fish, for example. You can imagine with raw fish, the shrimps, the tuna fish, and everything is perfect. Oyster also is very good. The acidity and the creaminess of this Prosecco is a different way to taste the oysters.
It's not too dry anyway.
It is 7.5 grams of sugar residual, so it's a brut in the lower part of the brut, so very near the extra brut category, because you know that extra brut is from 0 to 6, and the brut is from 6 to 12. So 7.5 is very good in sugar residual and good acidity.
You see, I think that you probably perceived how we are talking a lot about terroir and soil, which is normal for wine, but sometimes, when we speak about Prosecco, we forget that this can be and has to be a great wine. And if you want to make a great Prosecco Superiore, you need to start in the vineyard, and you need to start from the soil. And so it is certainly what we want to communicate more and more. Prosecco, unfortunately, sometimes in the market is something unbranded. And so some consumer, they tend to just order a Prosecco. While what we want to continue to stress is the idea that there is Prosecco and Prosecco Superiore. Inside of Prosecco Superiore, there are different brands that have different wineries that have different style. And most of all, each winery then can play a different part, even in the denomination of Prosecco Superiore. And inside of this area, there are some soil with different characteristics. So if Crede is the one with which emphasizes the Glera grape cultivated on clay soil, that is this nice floral touch. And the last wine, which we will taste, is another expression of the uniqueness of the terroir in this area. Because Cartizze, we are even getting to this magic hill, which is unique. It's a hill with a unique terroir and microclimate. And so we are now getting into a single cru. because this wine is only made with grapes cultivated on our vineyards on the Cartizze.
Yes, Cartizze is
the
first cru.
Grand Cru.
The Grand Cru, the historical Grand Cru, inspired the denomination of river because it's thanks to the history of Cartizze. Cartizze is really, as Matteo said, a magic because it's incredible how different is the result of the same grape in a different place. And this hill is the highest, the steepest. So very steepest hill. Everything is done by hand, but not every person can go to work inside because it's really vertical, this vineyard. And is the higher, and from the top of the hill where we have the vineyard, we can see Venice sometimes when there is a storm in the night, very wind. So we can see the water of Venice sometimes from the hill of Cartizze, and we can see the mountain behind that is from where arrive the cold temperature in the night of the Dolomites. So during the day, the grapes of Cartizze is cooler, like from the wind, from the sea during the day, and from the wind of the Dolomites during the night, with big excursion of temperature. And thanks to this kind of soil, this sand soil with big rocks, with also marine fossil inside, we can leave the grape for a longer maturation without losing acidity. You know that every sparkling wine, and wine also, but particularly sparkling wine, need a high level of acidity for the production. So we need some time to harvest it. But in Cartizze is incredible. It's a miracle of the nature. We can leave the grape 10 to 15 days more without losing acidity. And this helps the grape to obtain the best flavor from the skin of the bunches. You know that the major part of the flavor are inside the skin of the bunch. So leaving the grape for a longer maturation obtain a lot of flavor. This is the reason why this special Prosecco Superiore, the name is Cartizze, is an explosion of flavor. You can find every kind of flavor inside, and these are all natural flavor from the grape that find in this soil, in this exposition, in this altitude, the best condition for this kind of grape. Like this Montrachet for the Burgundy. It's always Chardonnay, but it's from Montrachet, and only from Montrachet the Burgundy becomes so higher in quality. So for us, Cartizze is the Montrachet of the Prosecco area.
Only 106 hectares, all vines, because the soil is so steep that you don't ungraft, you don't replant the vineyard. If a vine dies, you plant another one. You prolong the buds of the neighboring wine. It's an amazing place with a perfect exposition, perfect south facing, and the oldest soil of all the Conegliano Valdobbiadene area. So this is a different soil, it's a different hills that emerged after the glaciers dissolved. So it has nothing in common with the neighboring hills. This makes this Cru a unique place. This longer maturation gives a rich wine with more body. The soil is rich in sand and marls, so more structure, more body, and traditionally it's turned into an extra dry sparkling.
Yeah, exactly. This is an aspect of the tradition because thanks to this opportunity to leave the grape more time for the maturation, in the past arrived very near the winter time. So in the past was the only grape that during the winter remain sweet, because all the other grapes that we harvested before have the time to have a complete fermentation. This grape haven't the opportunity to have a complete fermentation because the winter arrived and with the cold temperature stopped the fermentation. This is the reason why for the tradition Cartizze is sweet. But we know that we can also produce Cartizze extra root, but we don't want to do this because for us this is the tradition and we want to maintain this tradition and to obtain this quality.
So this is dry, you know, it's why we are going from Crede, which was a root, to a dry, so 25 grams. And it's, if you think, you know, the previous one would be, the Crede is, as we said, perfect for, you know, very food friendly for a restaurant. This could also go with some dishes, probably perhaps some fusion cuisine, or I would perfectly see it, you know, just as a glass in an afternoon with some, even with something sweet in an afternoon in a London hotel, just as a pleasant glass.
Why not?
To enjoy.
We've been talking about the intensity of the nose, of the mouth, of flavors, and here we find everything with a different concentration, with richer body, and an incredible aftertaste. I know, you all know, you are professionals that, you know, sugar somehow enhances the fruitiness of the wines and the aromatic compounds. In this case, it's a perfect marriage between the sugar content and the aromatic compounds. It's really, really long-lasting, and this makes the difference. The persistency of the aromas in a wine makes the difference from a good wine to a great wine. So, what can we say? This is a great wine. It's a great Cartizze. Congratulations.
Salute. Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. So I hope that sometime you will have the opportunity to come to visit our winery and to visit also the vineyard of Cartizze in the top of the hill. When we will have again this talk together, I assure you that is one of the best emotions that you can have in the wine, in the sparkling wine.
We met a few weeks ago.
Yeah, exactly.
I was filming for Gambero Rosso. We were in the same restaurant on the top of the hill.
Yeah, that's Alzano.
That's in Alzano.
So it's really emotional to stay in this top of the hill. It's like a wall, like I said before. It's incredible to see how difficult it is to work this vineyard, but at the end, when you have a glass of this wine, you can recognize that it's a perfect choice. And when I'm thinking about this wine, I think that's a wine that you can drink all the time in the day. You don't need any kind of cocktail because inside this wine is a natural cocktail of many, many flavors. So, and another place in which I love to drink this wine is the Japanese restaurant. Asian cuisine in general is a perfect pairing with this sparkling wine.
A question. Tempura in a special way.
Exactly, tempura also.
Sorry?
Yes.
So, Cartizze, did it used to have the word Prosecco involved, or has it always been
According to the law.
Is that a new thing?
Yes, in the past the name was Prosecco di Gradine Superiore di Cartizze. Now we can use Cartizze directly.
And which is Prosecco Superiore, Conegliano Lattobianene, from this group.
And the point, I mean, was it removing the word Prosecco? Was it just because the labels were getting really long, or was there a particular reason to remove the word Prosecco?
No, but we decided when we changed these rules, you know, that was a particular time in the history of Prosecco because we became in 2009 from DOC to DOCG, so the higher category, and this was a question that was asked from us and from other wine growers of Cartizze to have a more higher identity of the hill of Cartizze. So This will obtain during this change of rules the opportunity to use cartizze in a bigger size in the letter.
So you wouldn't list it, for instance, on our wine list as Prosecco. You would list it separately as the Valpiandone di Cartizze.
Exactly.
You know, there is a big debate in Italy about how to name this wine. We at Bisol have a very strong opinion that even if we are based in Santo Stefano, which is the heart of the diocese, even if we are proud to be from Valdobbiadene, and we always speak about the terroir, the hills of Valdobbiadene, we invite you to the but leaving the word Prosecco would not be fair. I think that the way we describe these wines anyway is a Prosecco Superiore, and then obviously where is it coming from? From Valdobbiadene, which is the original area. There are some producers in Italy that sometimes suggest that, okay, why don't we leave the term Prosecco for identifying the wines coming from the BOCG?
It becomes an extremely long name, no?
First of all, for an
Prosecco,
Anglo-Saxon,
BOCG Superiore di
it's
Cartizze.
a very difficult name. First of all, Valdobbiadene, unfortunately, is not the easiest thing to pronounce in the UK or in the US. But let's leave it away, that issue. It's also, I think, it's a pity because Prosecco is a word that identifies a style of wine, of which this wine wants to be the pinnacle. So we don't want to say, it's not something different from Prosecco. This is just the original style area of Prosecco, the authentic, let me use the authentic historical area of Prosecco. And so we believe that calling it Prosecco Superiore di Valdobbiadene or just Prosecco Superiore helps. To me, I don't want to simplify, but it's similar. My point of view is that it's the same difference that you have between Chianti and Chianti Classico. Which,
Oh, please, don't.
And then we will fight. But it's a question of, it doesn't mean that you cannot have great wines in one area or the other. But for this, especially here, there is one issue which is very important to be considered. On the steep hills of Valdobbiadene, the viticulture, you have a terroir which is very distinctive, and this is what you find, for example, in these wines. In the expressiveness of the grade in the Cartizze. But the grapes that we cultivate here, in that area, are grapes that have to be handpicked. We work a number of hours per hectare, which is a multiple of what you need to dedicate in the flat land of Veneto. So the cost of producing a Prosecco Superiore is a multiple of what is the cost of producing a Prosecco. Now, we think that it's worth because it gives a unique style to our wines. But it is important to distinguish and to identify this because otherwise, in the future, people and all the viticulture and the growers will leave the steep hills of Valdobbiadene and will just cultivate on the flat land of Veneto because that's much easier. It's more profitable. It's easier, you have a higher yield, you have lower and less hour per hectare. So we think it's just important that the system, the old system of Prosecco can create quality, but it is important that we kind of help the consumer to understand that there is a certain area which is very unique, which is a UNESCO heritage, where we are steep, heroic hills, when you do this kind of wines.
We call it, in fact, heroic viticulture.
Exactly. Otherwise, I can say that if we will, everything will become the same, the risk is that, more and more, the growers will abandon this original area. Because I tell you, cultivating those hills is a very, very difficult exercise. They are very delicate, There are issues of every time because they are so steep. So if there is every time there is rain, you are terrified because something can move. There is everything has to be manual. When you harvest the people who work in this vineyard, it's a very intense and difficult work. Now we think it's worth because it's the most one of the most beautiful vineyard area that I've seen, and it is an area where you really get the grapes which delivers what we think is the authentic flavor of Prosecco. But we need to have the opportunity to present it. And if the market otherwise, if the market becomes just a market of Prosecco, unbranded and undistinguished, then the competition is only on price, and this Prosecco Superiore cannot be what you cultivate in Valdobbiadene on the Cartizze Hill, cannot be competitive on price versus the others.
It seems like the choice of the name was quite difficult because it's a choice between pulling Prosecco upwards, making a Cartizze, making a top cru, and pulling the quality upwards, or
it seems exactly the same. It's like when you say Musigny, you don't say Bourgogne, Rouge, Pinot Noir, Côte de Nuit, Chambol, say Le Musigny. That's it. As simple as that.
Yeah. We will get there, perhaps in the future, but it's a little bit early at the moment.
But at the end, in this moment, we have a classification Prosecco DOC, Prosecco Superiore, and inside the Prosecco Superiore there are 43 rive, and after we have Cartizze. So there is
Premier Cru, Grand Cru.
Grand Cru. But when some of the winery, I think that some of you heard someone tell, oh, we don't want to use the word Prosecco, we want to use only Valdobbiadene. But it's not like Cartizze. Cartizze is because it's from Cartizze Hill. When you write Valdobbiadene, I think that if I'm a wine lover, I want that the grape come from Valdobbiadene. At this moment, if you use Valdobbiadene, you can use also grape from other villages. So this is
like Conegliano or Vittorio Veneto.
It is totally different. So the most honest way to recognize the categories of Prosecco is Prosecco Superiore. And after, if you want to put the name of the river, okay, but only if the grape come from the village that you want to put in the label.
At the moment you can call it Prosecco Superiore di Conegliano, or if you want Prosecco Superiore di Valdobbiadene, or if you want Prosecco Superiore Conegliano Valdobbiadene.
Yes.
So it's very complicated.
Or also,
I have always problems making a wine guide with a grid where the names have to fit in. With them, it's an impossible task.
Yeah,
because you imagine a wine which is called Conegliano Valdobbiadene, Prosecco Superiore, Rive di San Floriano, extra dry. Come on, it takes 3 lines of the grid. So instead of putting 9 wines, I put 2 wines in the grid, and this is a problem for me. And I'm for simplifying the things, but it's not always possible.
No, but it's a question of time. At this time,
it's a question of politics. It's a question of politics, sure.
Politics,
This is what happened back in 2010,
something. 2009 was the education. So very fast to protect the Prosecco, because in this time we decided to move from Prosecco DOC to Prosecco Superiore to avoid that everyone planted Prosecco outside the historical area of Veneto and Friuli. So in this moment there was people that wanted to plant the Prosecco in Sicily, other people that wanted to plant it and called to me, asking me, give me a lot of money if they want to.
And everybody can plant Glera anywhere, but you can call it Prosecco.
Exactly. People that ask me to come in California and plant Prosecco, I tell this, I don't want the Prosecco come outside.
Argentina, Brazil, and California, there's a lot of Glera grapes. As long as you don't call it Prosecco, it's fine.
Exactly.
You can call it Sparkler, but don't call it Champagne if you are in California.
Exactly. The only place in which nobody called me to ask to plant Glera, it was Champagne.
So far.
So far. But at the end, this is also a great opportunity to underline some number to remember. So I would like to underline that every 7 bottles of Prosecco, only 1 bottle comes from the historical hills of Valdobbiadene, Conegliano and Asolo. So 1 every 7 bottles. And only 1 bottle every 752 bottles come from the Cartizze Hill. And at the end, most easy to remember, only 1 bottle every 2000 comes from Bisol.
That's still good.
It will be a battle to find a bottle.
Not tonight.
But in general, going back to what we said about the denominations, and Italy is complicated. If you know, not only wine in general. And so, beware from those people who simplify, because we are a little bit complicated. But that's also the beauty. I think the beauty of this terroir that we described is the diversity, as much as the diversity of sparkling wine that I mentioned at the beginning. Is it's linked to the richness of our territories, which are very different. Even if from Trentino to Valdobbiadene, from Trento to Valdobbiadene, it's not a very long road. It's less than 2 hours by car. We are still going into territories which have very different history, very different, as we said, there is, between a Trento DOC and a Prosecco Superiore, there is everything is different, that can be different in wine, because it's different grape variety, different production method, different terroirs. And so, each of these wine has a distinctive identity. And we want to express the excellence of each of these terroirs. So that's our goal. And in Valdobbiadene, to make the best possible expression of Prosecco Superiore and the ambassador of this, as we are doing tonight here. And Bisol, there is the number we are putting close to the brand Bisol 1542. It is a number that always surprises me a lot, because it's the date of a document that is an impressive document from a public notary that says that in Santo Stefano, as they call it, Santo Stefano, the Bisol family, in that age, in 1542, already was owning some vineyards. So it's impressive because, in 1542, which is, over 500 years ago, already the Bisol family was cultivating the vineyards. And this tells you how long is the tradition of this area linked to the world of wine, and how deep are the roots of these wines into the history.
Well, it's been a great tasting.
Yeah.
Excellent wines, and the audience was perfect. Any other question? We are here. Otherwise, we'll see you
We can go downstairs, I think, also for a more.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.